Thank you. Thank you. Well, I really feel honored, and honored also by this distinguished recognition of, I guess, how I've spent my time for the last 62 years. A few weeks ago, or months ago, whenever it was, when we discussed my presenting this little talk, I had to come up with a title. And I threw out at a breakfast meeting with Gail Cole, how about if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong? She said, oh, that's great, that'll be fine. Then I had to come up with something to go along with that. But I've given it some thought, and here's how I want to start. A man walks into a bar. No, seriously. Seriously, a man walks into a bar. Actually, it's a boy. He's 13 years old. He's wearing white socks, and he gets paid $3 to play for 4 hours. I was that boy. And sometimes it feels like I never left. I loved it. It was magic. So I see my life kind of as a straight line, you know, the setup to a punchline. Boy walks into a bar. Something is always just about to happen for me. I've practiced my craft in public for 45 years. My mother once, watching me on a concert, afterwards came up to me and she said, you know, what you're trying to do, it's sort of like trying to write a novel in the window of Macy's. And she's right. Doing art in public, in real time, in front of real people, has its challenges, but it's a real privilege because you do get feedback, and the public will let you know what's happening. Now, I don't necessarily subscribe to Irving Berlin's dictum that the mob is always right. But I do agree with that great jazz philosopher, Art Blakey, who said, people do not come to the club to get educated. People come to wash away the dust of everyday life. It's a beautiful phrase, I think, the dust of everyday life. And it points to the healing power of music and also the circumstances in which we play it. There's something about the act of community, when people come together, where they come together, that's at the heart of our mission as artists. You know, we hang together or we hang separately. So our job in part as musicians is to provide this respite from the trials and tribulations of everyday life and to create a venue for community. At the same time, we have the opportunity to raise the level of the dialogue a bit. It's not just a party, it's a party with a purpose. Every time you leave the club or the concert hall or whatever the venue, you should be changed somewhat by the experience. The truth of the moment of real people taking real chances should make your blood run just a little quicker. They say that you never really learn anything unless there's the element of surprise involved. They call jazz the sound of surprise because we really don't know what we're going to hear or play next. The purpose of the exercise is to achieve our potential as a society and as individuals. And to do that, we must not fear the unknown. We must not be driven by fear. Fear is the enemy. Joy, pleasure, fun is the antidote. Many great musicians have said that when you go on the bandstand, you are supposed to leave all your worldly problems behind you. You're there, all of you, for the same purpose, to throw a little kindling on the fire of inspiration, to warm yourselves by the glow of the music, to court the unknown, the unexpected. This is what causes the combustion to happen. There's always the possibility that just around the next tick of the clock, there's a solution to a problem, perhaps a problem you haven't even thought of yet. Miles Davis once said to a sideman, he said, don't be practicing on the bandstand. He said, I don't pay you to play what you know, I pay you to play what you don't know. That's, what do you think? Okay. Richard knows Miles Davis. Charlie Parker once said, you want me to act like a doctor, I'll play like a doctor. No offense to the doctors in the house. But when you go on the bandstand, you have to feel a little silly, a little loose. My favorite is the words of Johnny Griffin, a great saxophone player. He said, jazz is music made by and for people who have chosen to feel good in spite of conditions. What these great philosopher musicians are getting at is that the unknown is the only thing that we know, and to go forward into the unknown with eyes and ears open, ready for whatever happens, is the charge of the artist and the reward of the art. And you can't do that if you are motivated by fear. Fear of failure or fear of success. Either one is just as bad. Now, it's been said that jazz is America's only native art form. Its roots in Black America, Jewish America, Italian America, Hispanic America, and many other Americas makes this almost a tautology. Jazz is America, democracy in action, live on our stage nightly. Jazz is the spirit of exploration, music that constantly expands to allow new voices. It never contracts. It never says, don't go there. It requires that you find your own voice, that you make your own statement, and have some fun in the process. Jazz without joy is just a bunch of numbers. Jazz is America. You all know our inalienable rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Where did that last one come from? Not an earned reward, not a political payoff, an inalienable right. The pursuit of happiness cannot be taken away, inalienable. You can bet that one will not appear in the new Iraqi Constitution. How did it get into ours? It's almost as if the Founding Fathers understood that there is some aspect of happiness that can provide an antidote to tyranny. And if we keep our eyes on that particular prize, we will be more likely to survive as a community. Why? Perhaps because pleasure is a kind of a social lubricant, among other things. A lot can happen when people enjoy themselves together. It's the opposite of fear. And today it's clear that we are being torn apart by fear. We're being alienated from one another by fear. We're being alienated from our inalienable rights by fear. We're being manipulated, in my opinion, virtually 24 hours a day by fear. Just turn on the television and there it is. It's there in every commercial. Fear of not having what we need, fear of not needing what we have. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of the known. It seems that every little waking moment has this background noise of fear these days. Could it be it's because fear keeps us off balance? And when we're not centered, we're more likely, say, to go out and buy something to give us the illusion of having control over our out-of-control world. Really, does the programming get any better if we have 5 televisions instead of 1? What are the rules, and who are the guys who sell religion as show business and show business as religion? And don't get me started on politics. Okay, I'm started on politics. Is it possible that some politicians want to keep us fearful in order to keep us in order? Is it possible? Have you noticed how at key moments the warning light suddenly goes to amber? Fear has been with us since the beginning, of course. As Mel Brooks once said, in the beginning, fear was the main means of transportation. You see a lion, you go 100 miles an hour. Today, fear still drives our wheels. The real danger of being driven by fear is not that we will be frightened, however, but that we will feel nothing at all. We'll shut down to the obvious truths of our situation. My friend, meteorologist Reed Bryson, once looked me dead in the eye and said, "Ben, don't believe what they're telling you about the climate." He said, "If you want to know about the weather, look out the window." This from a leading scientist on the subject. Look out the window. Use your own eyes and ears. Yes, there are problems in the world. Yes, there are dangers. But while we are on this fragile bubble, we do not need to add to our trouble. Have you noticed we walk around trying to keep our head down and our chin up at the same time? Try it. That's the position we're in these days. Don't shoot, and maybe things will get better. It reminds me of the man who goes to Pucci's tailor shop. Do you know this joke? Pucci's tailor shop. Well, Pucci had the best tailor shop in the city of Lodz. And one day, Morris is going to go and get himself a new suit. Now, he hears that Pucci is the best tailor. And he walks in and he says, "I want the best suit you can make. And Pucci says, this is no problem. We have beautiful material. Step right over here. Soft as butter. Cashmere, fabulous. Measures Morris and says, come back in a week. I'll have the best suit you ever saw. A week later, Morris comes back. Sure enough, Pucci's got the suit made. It's a fabulous suit. He looks great. He tries it on. He says, excuse me, Pucci, the right sleeve, it's a little short. Pucci says, no. The sleeve is fine. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's your posture. You tend to lean a little bit. If you were to straighten up. So, Morris straightens up. Sure enough, the right sleeve's looking pretty good, but now it's gapping here in the back a little bit. He says, excuse me, Pucci, sleeves are good, but he says, no. Suit's fine. It's the way you hold your shoulders. Sure enough, the gap is gone, but now that right cuff is a little short. He says, excuse me, Pucci, the cuff. He said, Pucci, no. Don't you know that when you walk, you're supposed to have your leg like this? So the man is walking out of you know, two guys are coming into Pucci's, and one says to the other, see, I told you Pucci was great. Look at the way he was able to fit that guy. Now, there are a lot of lessons we can take from this little joke. One of them is don't let the interested party pick the terms of the transaction. It is our responsibility as artists and scientists on behalf of the whole community to use our own eyes and ears. Look out the window, tell the truth, and let the people decide. All those being honored here today have done that. They have stayed connected to the people in their stories and in their CVs, you can tell. They've opened the window, they've taken a look. And as Bob Dylan said, you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. Or was that Reed? I'm not sure who said that. The antidote to fear is happiness. It's our inalienable right. Today, it's also a radical alternative. It's a way to take up your life in your own hands, to be your own psychological tailor. Jazz is music that is made by and for people who have chosen to feel good in spite of conditions. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. This is one of the things that we learn from the arts and sciences. And now, Professor Richard Davis and myself will do our little part by playing a song which we haven't even decided. We'll play a song.